It all started when Stephan, the same guy who used to fake stomachaches to skip gym class so he could rush home to finish a 12-hour anime binge, suddenly texted me, "Bro, party at Ava's tonight, you're coming, non-negotiable." I stared at my screen in confusion, thinking he must have been hacked. Because the Stephan I knew hated people, social events, loud music, and especially anything that required pants. But no. He really showed up at my door that night, drenched in cologne, wearing a half-buttoned floral shirt and hair that had clearly been tortured by a flat iron. "Let's go, Joseph," he grinned, teeth glinting. "I've got a feeling tonight's gonna be profitable." Profitable? I should have known then. That word didn't belong to a guy who once refused to split a pizza delivery because the conversion rate of cheese per slice wasn't fair. But I didn't question it. I let him drag me into a hurricane of LED lights, overpriced cocktails, and worse, people I remembered from high school for all the wrong reasons. The first night, he introduced me to a girl named Riley, whose eyelashes looked like windshield wipers and whose nails had more rhinestones than a disco ball. Within minutes, she was fake laughing at nothing I said and calling me so intense. The second I politely asked her not to film me without permission, she flipped her drink in mock offense and walked away. "Stephan?" He just chuckled and said, "Keep being you, man, it's working." Working for what? By the fifth party, I had endured a girl named Summer who asked me to Venmo her emotional damages after I disagreed with her favorite influencer, and another girl who called me a walking red flag because I didn't post gym selfies. I started to lose patience. But Stephan seemed high on something, checking his phone every 10 seconds, eyes wide, fingers trembling like he was watching Bitcoin spike in real time. One night, after I barely escaped a girl who tried to sell me her OnlyFans subscription like it was Girl Scout cookies, I cornered Stephan in the hallway of the venue. "All right," I said, grabbing his shoulder, "what the hell is going on with you?" He hesitated, shifted on his feet, then sighed. "Okay, listen, I didn't know how to tell you this, but I got chosen by a system." My face probably said try again. "It's called the Backstab Protocol," he continued. "Basically, the more girls hate you, the more cash I earn. Their emotional reactions generate energy, and the system turns it into literal money. But," he raised a finger, "you have to be you, honest, brutally, so I started bringing you around." I blinked. "You're farming hate currency, from women, using me." He nodded. "And bro, we're rich." I should have walked away, but then he showed me his phone. Bank app. Real money, 5 figures, all from getting me cancelled at scale. And in that moment, something inside me clicked, not with anger, not with pride, but with cold, calculated clarity. "Fine," I said, cracking my knuckles. "Let's weaponize it. If the world wants to be offended, I'll give them a masterpiece." Stephan blinked. "Wait, seriously?" I smiled. "Get ready to split it 50-50, I'm going full villain." Back when we were kids, Stephan was the guy who'd get anxiety ordering at a fast food counter. His voice was soft, stammering, always buried under the weight of imaginary judgment. He had one hoodie, oversized and faded navy blue, that he wore like armor from grade school to senior year. He was the type of guy who'd lend you his game controller and apologize if it glitched, even though you'd already broken it. And I? I was the opposite. Sarcastic, blunt, emotionally bulletproof, or at least that's what people assumed. Truth was, I just learned early on how to keep my walls up. Stephan and I clicked not because we were similar, but because we were loyal. He kept me grounded, and I gave him just enough edge to survive high school. That loyalty never cracked, not even when life threw its cruelest jokes. But ever since the Backstab Protocol latched onto him, something inside him shifted. He became jittery, greedy, and wildly unpredictable. Not in a selfish way, just in a, I finally found a cheat code to life kind of way. "You don't understand, Joseph," he told me the morning after our 5th party massacre. "The system, it rewards chaos, it rewards hatred, but it needs fuel. That fuel is you." I didn't get offended, I just nodded, logged it mentally, and began preparing myself for war. If I was going to be hated, then I'd be strategically hated. Not randomly, not for nonsense, I'd roast hypocrisy, I'd destroy fakes, I'd aim precisely and unapologetically. If there was currency in contempt, then I was about to become the richest moral villain alive. College wasn't just a place anymore, it became the arena. Every hallway, every club event, every seminar had the potential to turn into a monetized battlefield. And it all came to a head at our university's highly anticipated alumni class reunion gala. I wasn't even going to attend until Stephan burst into my room with a silk shirt, matching dress shoes, and a breathless look in his eyes. "She's going to be there." I didn't even have to ask. "Leah?" He nodded. "She just posted a story. She's flying in." Leah, the walking contradiction, my childhood crush, my teenage downfall, my adult headache. Back in 8th grade, we shared a secret friendship. We'd trade anime DVDs, take long walks under fake romantic tension, and talk about escaping our hometown. Then high school came, and Leah transformed. She became that girl, homecoming queen, Instagram philosopher, self-declared speaker of all women. Our conversations dried up the moment I stopped telling her what she wanted to hear. We hadn't spoken in 3 years, but I kept tabs, because of course I did. She'd joined a livestream panel on feminine rage, where she ranted about men needing to emotionally starve. Another time she went viral for filming herself crying about being ghosted, only to find out later she was ghosted by a guy she never actually dated. Classic Leah. And now she was back, with her signature pout, trademark soft focus camera filter, and, apparently, a new boyfriend. At the reunion, the ballroom was decked out like a corporate gala. Gold and white linens, crystal chandeliers, a jazz quartet playing near the hors d'oeuvre table. I walked in with Stephan beside me, him practically vibrating with system energy, me dressed in clean black, sharp blazer, no tie, silent revenge aesthetic. Leah stood near the open bar, laughing with that perfectly timed Instagram story laugh. Her hair was longer now, platinum blonde with soft waves. Her outfit, a beige power suit with glitter heels, screamed subtle luxury, and on her arm was a guy who looked like he stepped out of a finance-themed anime. Tall, square-jawed, deep V-neck, wearing shades indoors. That had to be the boyfriend. They noticed me within seconds. Leah's lips parted in faux surprise. "Oh, Joseph?" I tilted my head. "Didn't recognize you. Last time we met you still had a personality." Her smile twitched. "Still sharp, some things never change. And some people just get shinier with filters." Her boyfriend coughed into his fist and stepped forward. "Hey man, I'm Caleb. You probably know Leah from way back, huh?" "Yeah," I said, before she turned her trauma into merch. Leah laughed, but her eyes were cold. "Still bitter?" I shrugged. "Nope. Just broke enough to be honest." It only took 5 minutes before I saw the first ripple. A few girls nearby frowned. One of them whispered, and another checked her phone. Stephan nudged me gently. 3 reactions. Keep going. I didn't need instructions. But just as I was about to launch another verbal sniper shot, someone stepped between me and the chaos. Her name was Linda. I didn't recognize her at first. She wasn't flashy, no filters, no branded jewelry, no exaggerated angles. She wore a simple forest green dress, hair tied in a loose bun, glasses slipping down her nose. She looked normal, but her eyes were sharp, observing, unafraid. She looked between me and Leah, then said quietly, "This isn't the place for reality TV drama." Leah rolled her eyes. "Who even are you?" Linda turned to her calmly. "Someone who doesn't live stream her breakdowns." The burn hit harder than anything I'd said. I blinked. Leah scowled and walked off with Caleb in tow, spitting toxic masculinity under her breath. The crowd shifted. More whispers, more eyes. Stephan's phone buzzed like a jackpot machine. "Joseph, dude, you just triggered a mini gold mine." But I wasn't listening anymore. I was watching Linda. "Thanks," I said. She looked at me. "Don't thank me, just don't become what they already think you are." That stuck, harder than I wanted to admit. Later that night, Linda stood alone at the punch table, sipping quietly. I walked over. "So, you're not part of the Leah fan club?" She shook her head. "I was, once, until I saw how she treats people who stop clapping." That line hit harder than a slap. I wanted to say something clever, but all I managed was, "You're different." She smirked. "That's what they all say, until I stop agreeing with them." That night, I didn't roast her, didn't provoke her, didn't even try. And that's how I knew, she wasn't like the others. But the system didn't care about emotional depth, it cared about hate, and Stephan, now fully drunk on money, looked at me like a man holding a golden goose. "If she ever hates you," he whispered, "we get 5 times the payout." I stared at Linda from across the room. For the first time, I wasn't sure I wanted the money. By the time I arrived at the reunion, the banquet hall was already pulsing with carefully curated chaos. Champagne flutes clinked in rhythm with fake laughter. Girls posed under soft lighting like life was one long photo shoot, while guys hovered near the buffet pretending not to check their bank balances every 10 seconds. Leah stood at the center of it all, like a queen whose kingdom was built on compliments and conveniently forgotten context. Her outfit tonight was a form-fitting white jumpsuit with an unnecessary cape, like she was about to both win an Oscar and lead a TED Talk. Her smile was weaponized, calibrated to look gracious in photos and condescending in person. She twirled a glass of rosé in one hand while speaking to a group of girls and a few hopeful simps orbiting her like helpless satellites. "You know what I realized?" she said loudly, eyes scanning the room just to make sure enough people were listening. "Broke men are the loudest. The more irrelevant they are, the more they complain about gold diggers. Like, babe, nobody's digging your 374. The girls laughed in sync. One of the guys, thin, eager, wearing a watch way too big for his wrist, nodded like a dashboard bobblehead. "Facts," he said. "Real women," Leah continued, "don't need a man, we choose them. And if you're not offering anything but complaints, you should just exit the dating pool entirely. Go fight in a group chat." I stood quietly at the back, arms crossed. Stephan was next to me, bouncing on his toes like a caffeinated rabbit, whispering, "Say something, bro, she's baiting you. Come on, one line, we get paid." "I'm not here to start drama," I said. Stephan lowered his voice. "We made $6,000 from that eye roll you gave last night. $6,000. I glanced back toward Leah. She had moved on to another hot take, this time about toxic masculine energy being anything that doesn't clap loud enough when she walks into a room. I rolled my eyes again. Stephan's phone buzzed instantly. He grinned. "Confirmed, one eye roll, $800. It's like stock trading, but the stock is your disdain." Still, I kept quiet. Until she showed up. Her name was Haley. She once ran a blog about ethical shopping while secretly working as a brand promoter for a fast fashion app. She was perched on a velvet chair, live streaming herself, while a guy rubbed her shoulders like she was hosting a talk show. "Honestly," she said into her phone, "if a guy ever asks to split the bill, I cut him off immediately. That's low-tier behavior. I don't date men, I date providers." I exhaled. "Stephan." "Yes?" "I'm going in." The moment I stepped into the frame of her live stream, she glanced at me and said, "Oh God, Joseph, I thought you dropped out of relevance." "I did," I replied, "right around the time your third boyfriend started using your skincare discount codes." Her face stiffened, the comment section flared. She narrowed her eyes. "Why are you even here?" "To provide balance," I said. "Too much delusion in one room can cause hallucinations." Gasps rippled. Stephan's phone went crazy. Haley pointed her acrylic nail at me. "You're exactly why women are angry." "No," I said, "women like you are why men go mute." The comment section exploded, screenshots flew. Stephan shoved his phone in my face, his account had jumped by 5,000 in 2 minutes. Haley shouted something about internalized misogyny, but I was already walking away. Across the room, Leah stood frozen, lips slightly parted, eyes narrowing. She pulled out her phone. Within the hour, she posted a clip of me confronting Haley, captioned, "This is Joseph, an example of why safe spaces matter. This is the kind of guy who blames women when they don't bow to his mediocrity." The post blew up. Within minutes, I was being tagged in stories by girls I didn't even know. Stephan looked like he'd won the lottery. And to be fair, he kind of had. "Dude," he said, holding up his screen, "do you see this? That post just triggered another 10,000. You're not just hated, you're trending." I shrugged. What's hate if it pays the rent? So I leaned in, hard. The next day, I posted a video response, simple format, black t-shirt, neutral wall, camera steady. "I've been accused of being a misogynist because I said splitting the bill isn't a crime. Apparently not bowing to every self-declared queen makes me problematic, so here's what we'll do." I stared into the lens. "I'll become your villain. Send me the names. Gold diggers, fake feminists, simps who think being spineless is sexy. I'll roast them, publicly. You want a substitute mouth? I'm available. Stephan watched the view count like it was a horse race, 50,000, then 100, then 200. I set up a submission form. People flooded my inbox with stories, names, screenshots, receipts. I curated the best ones, added commentary, went live every Saturday. The series was called Roast to Riches. Bullet comments flew like daggers. Yes, finally someone says it. He's toxic, but entertaining. My ex is shaking. I feel exposed, but I can't stop watching. Leah, meanwhile, doubled down. She started a counter-series. The Misogynist Report. Every episode was dedicated to exposing me with stitched clips and quotes taken out of context. But it backfired. Even her own followers started laughing in the comments. Girl, you're making him famous. Low-key, his roast was funnier. You're just mad he didn't simp. Our feud became an event. Students formed factions. I walked through campus like a meme come to life. Some girls crossed the street when they saw me, others asked for selfies, as the villain. And the money, it kept coming. Every time Leah tried to cancel me, she inflated the brand. Every DM hate message was another deposit in Stephan's sauce. The more I roasted, the more they raged, and the more viral we got. One night, after hitting 1 million followers, Stephan sat on my couch, phone buzzing non-stop. You know, he said, this is insane, we just made more in a week than my parents made last year. I looked at him. And yet, it's not enough. He blinked. You serious? Yeah, I said, smiling, because the system thrives on hate. But what if we feed it betrayal next? He frowned. Wait. Betrayal of who? I didn't answer. Instead, I opened a new folder titled, Operation Linda. Stephan's eyes widened. You wouldn't. Relax, I said, though I wasn't sure anymore. It's just insurance. But deep down, I knew, if this kept going, I'd eventually have to make a choice. Linda, or the system. Respect, or revenue. And I wasn't sure which one I'd choose. For days, I was untouchable. Every insult I hurled landed. Every sarcastic swipe went viral. Every time I roasted a manipulative girl or embarrassed a simp mid-comment thread, the views surged. Stephan and I would sit at our desks like kings, tracking numbers like war generals reviewing battle maps. But somewhere between the 50th livestream and the 100th message submission, something started to shift. Not around me, inside me. I couldn't tell exactly when it began. Maybe it was during a campus event when a girl I'd never spoken to saw me and physically recoiled. Maybe it was when I overheard a whisper near the vending machines. That's him, the hate farmer, stay away. Or maybe it was when I woke up to see my name trending with a hashtag Joseph the Rotten. It was supposed to be funny, it was all supposed to be a game, but it stopped feeling like one. I sat in the library, hoodie up, headphones in, but no music playing, just white noise. Everything felt warped, like I had gone so deep into the villain persona that the line between roast and reality had blurred. I had built a brand on being hated, and now, I wasn't sure I remembered what it was like to be liked. Hey, a voice said softly. I looked up, it was Linda. She wasn't dressed like someone trying to impress, just a loose tan sweater, black jeans, and sneakers. Her hair was pulled back in a low bun, no makeup. But her presence was real, anchored. Like she was immune to the digital chaos swallowing the rest of us whole. You looked like you needed an extraction, she said, nodding toward the corner where two girls were filming TikToks, occasionally sneaking glances at me. I forced a smirk. I've learned to live under surveillance. She didn't laugh. Instead, she sat down beside me and slid over a small paper cup. Chamomile, she said, for stress. I stared at the cup, then at her. No filter? I asked. No, clout, she replied. I took a sip. It was warm, soothing, dangerous. Thanks, I muttered. She watched me for a second before asking, are you okay? It was such a simple question, but no one had asked it in weeks, not sincerely, at least, not without expecting a snarky comeback or a screenshot-worthy answer. I don't know, I said honestly. That night, I walked home slower than usual. Stephan was waiting on the steps with his laptop open and eyes wide. Joseph, he said, waving me over. The system updated. What now? I muttered. He turned the screen. There it was, a glowing notification. Backstab opportunity detected. Target, Linda, projected bonus, 5x standard rate. Target holds high moral value, emotional rarity, and low hate resilience. Maximum payout possible if successfully turned against host. Proceed. I stared at the screen for a long time, 5 times the normal rate. That wasn't just rich, that was life-changing. That was startup money, investment capital, early retirement. For a college student, it was another universe. She's the jackpot, Stephan whispered. I said nothing. You don't have to, go nuclear, he added. Just make her dislike you. Maybe stage a lie, twist something, push a few buttons. You're good at that. I know, I said. Too good. But it was Linda, the only person who hadn't tried to farm my identity for social media clout. The only one who looked at me like I wasn't some cartoon villain in a livestream war. Still, I couldn't ignore the numbers. The system was right. She was rare. She was pure, which made her perfect for destruction. It made me sick to admit that. The next day, Leah set a trap. She posted an open invite on her story, women's rights panel on campus, featuring a surprise speaker. I knew exactly what it meant, and yet, I showed up. The auditorium was half full, mostly girls, cameras ready, bullet comments waiting to explode, and in the middle of it all, Leah stood with her signature performative poise. Let's welcome our surprise guest, she said, as if she wasn't the one who DM'd me 20 times to show up. I stepped onto the stage, hands in my pockets, prepared for war. Her smirk widened. So Joseph, she began, you've built a brand by, let's say, challenging women. Do you think women are inherently manipulative? I could feel the camera zooming in. I opened my mouth, and then someone in the back stood up. Enough, Linda said. Heads turned. She walked slowly toward the stage. No mic, no flash, just her voice. This isn't a panel, it's a public ambush, she said. And it's not brave to bait someone into becoming a villain, it's lazy. Leah scoffed. Are you defending him? No, Linda said. I'm just not applauding you. Silence fell over the room. Then Linda turned to me and said, let's go. I followed, because what else could I do? Outside, she didn't say anything for a while. We just walked, the sounds of outrage and curiosity fading behind us. Why did you come? She finally asked. I thought I had to. To prove something? I nodded. She sighed. You don't need to prove anything to people who already decided you're guilty. We stopped walking. I looked at her, this girl who had no reason to help me, no platform to gain, no followers to impress. You're wasting your time, I said. I'm a mess. Yeah, she said, smiling gently. But you're honest about it. That's rare. I went home and stared at the system prompt again. Proceed with target, Linda? I hovered over the confirmation button and closed the screen. That night, Stephan paced the living room. Bro, we're sitting on gold. I know. So, why aren't we mining it? I leaned back. Because for the first time in weeks, I feel human. He looked at me like I had just betrayed the revolution. What happened to roast to riches? Maybe riches aren't worth it if you have to burn down the only good thing left in your life. Stephan threw up his hands. Man, you're getting soft. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm finally waking up. But the system doesn't sleep. The next morning, I opened my DM requests. A message from Leah. She's too good for you anyway. I'll make sure she sees it all. Attached, a video, from weeks ago, heavily edited, out of context, twisted. Linda would think I was mocking her behind her back. I panicked. I ran to find her. She wasn't in class, not in the library, not at her part-time job. Finally, I found her sitting by the lake near campus, alone, phone in her lap, face unreadable. I didn't say those things, I blurted out. It was edited, it was a setup. She looked up slowly. I know, she said. Relief hit me like a tidal wave. I've seen how they work, she added. I'm not stupid. But you're disappointed, I said. Yeah, she admitted, because I thought you were done playing the game. I sat beside her. I am, I said. I just didn't realize how long the game plays you back. She didn't reply, just leaned her head against my shoulder. And for a moment, everything stopped. No cameras, no comments, no system, just warmth, just Linda. Later that night, the system screamed again, missed opportunity, bonus rejected. I didn't care, but Stephan did. He looked at me, betrayed. She was our biggest payout. She's not a payout, I said. She's the only proof I'm still sane. He scoffed. You're gonna regret this. Maybe, I said. But at least I'll regret it with a soul. The screen dimmed. Silence returned. And I knew, deep down, that the war wasn't over. But maybe now. I was fighting for the right side. The worst part about trying to make someone hate you, especially someone like Linda, is that you start to hate yourself in the process. I didn't want to, but the system's pressure didn't ease up. Despite ignoring the original "Proceed with Linda" prompt, it kept reappearing, like a pop-up I couldn't uninstall. Each time I logged into Stephan's dashboard, it flashed in bold, high-value target still active, proceeding could triple current balance. Stephan wasn't helping either. Dude, he said one night, eating ramen straight from the pot, you're already halfway there, just push her away a bit, make her think you're shallow, tell her you're into women for money or power or something, easy. She won't believe that, I said, then make it believable. So I tried. First, I changed my wardrobe, on purpose. Traded my usual clean neutrals for a stained neon hoodie with cartoonish lettering that said, "Get rich or stay petty." I stopped shaving, wore mismatched socks, let my hair get greasy, even smeared some ketchup on my sleeve before meeting her, accidentally at the library. She stared at me for a full 3 seconds before asking, "Joseph, are you okay?" "Never better," I replied, flashing a fake gold chain, dripped out and drama-free. She blinked. "You look like you slept in a dumpster full of NFTs." I forced a laugh. I call it my post-capitalist rebel arc. She didn't bite. The next day, I staged a moment in front of her where I got a phone call and answered loudly. "Yeah bro, I need that 10 grand back. No, just scam the new intern, she's dumb enough." She watched me with narrow eyes. Later that evening, she pulled me aside. "Was that call even real?" "Why, you worried I'm a broke scammer?" I said with a smirk. She didn't flinch. "I'm worried you're pretending to be one." I looked away. "You're not a good liar," she added. I was running out of moves, so I went for 2. He last resort. I messaged her the next morning. "I'm in trouble, real trouble, need money, can't explain now, can you send me anything?" I expected her to block me. Instead, she transferred 20,000 yuan with a message. "This is all I have, use it to get through, just promise me you'll be okay." I stared at the screen for a full 5 minutes. My chest hurt, not in guilt, something worse, something like grief for the person I was becoming. I returned the money the same night, and she didn't say a word about it. Just texted, "I trust you, even if you don't." But the world doesn't wait for your moral dilemma to resolve. Leah struck. She posted a livestream titled, "The Truth About Joseph, Finally Exposed." Thumbnail was a heavily filtered photo of me mid-sentence, looking like I was spitting fire. The caption, "Watch before he deletes everything." The stream started with her crying, of course, perfect glistening tear down one cheek, camera at a 45-degree angle, ambient piano music in the background. "I never wanted to do this," she began, "but I have to protect the girls at this school." I watched from Stephan's room, bag of chips in hand, deadpan. Leah went on to show clips of me roasting girls, edited out of context. Comments flooded in. Some people called for my expulsion, others wrote, "Knew he was trash." Stephan turned to me. "You gonna respond?" "No," I said, tossing the chips aside. "I'm going to confess." "Wait, what?" But I was already typing. Within an hour, I scheduled a live stream under the title, "Villain Vibes, The Confession." 10 minutes before I went live, the hate was peaking. Bullet comments were already attacking me in advance. "He'll deny it all. Let's cancel him for good. Another manipulative jerk pretending to be deep." I started the stream with a deep breath and no script. "You're right," I said. "Leah's right, I'm a villain." The chat froze. "I roast people, I humiliate hypocrisy, I'm not here to win your love, I'm here to be your truth serum." Then I smiled. "But since we're all pretending to be saints, let me give you something useful. Starting today, I'm opening paid roast sessions. Want me to expose your toxic ex, your fake friend, the girl who uses feminism as a shield while manipulating 5 boyfriends at once? Submit your story, I'll say what you can't." The feed exploded. "No way he did that." "I'm submitting now." Villain era going strong. I opened the first submission midstream. Read it cold. This one's from an anonymous guy. He says, "My ex cheated on me, then claimed I was emotionally unavailable. Her new boyfriend doesn't know she took my cat in the breakup and renamed him." I laughed. Classic, toxic and territorial. That's not feminism, that's felony light. Donations poured in, submissions quadrupled. Linda texted me in the middle of the stream. "You're insane, but I get it." I replied, "It's the only way I know how to survive." By the time the stream ended, I had over 300,000 live viewers. Merch pages went up. People started selling t-shirts with phrases like, "Joseph said what we all thought," and "I survived a roast session." But the hate, it grew too. My professors pulled me aside. "We're getting complaints," one said. "This can't go on much longer." Linda saw the pressure building. She stayed close, always quiet, always calm. "You're building an empire of enemies," she told me. "Yeah," I said, "and every one of them paid admission." Then she added, "But will it be worth it if you stand alone in the end?" I didn't have an answer. Because she was the only one I didn't want to lose. But right now, being hated was my full-time job. It started with a silence. Not the silence of someone giving you the cold shoulder, not passive, not tense. It was the silence of devastation. A deep, vacant kind of quiet that wraps itself around someone who's just watched everything they believed in fall apart. That's what I saw on Linda's face the morning I found her sitting on the concrete steps of the design building, her portfolio shredded, papers scattered like fallen leaves. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she didn't even look at me. "What happened?" I asked, crouching beside her. She opened her mouth to speak, but her lips just trembled. I didn't wait. Stephan showed me the email later. Linda had been contacted by an angel investor 3 weeks ago. Someone who claimed to have connections in the fashion industry, promising to fund her first collection. He had the branding, the pitch deck, the LinkedIn endorsements. All fake. He took everything, her designs, her pitch, even her tagline. 2 days ago, he registered it under his own name and launched a website with a cloned brand. Her dream had been stolen, packaged, and shipped overnight to investors who didn't care. I saw red. "You okay?" Stephan asked, watching me pace the room. "No," I said, "I'm done being everyone's villain. It's time to ruin the real ones." I tracked him down, publicly. His name was Martin Chen. He was hosting a speaking event at a tech accelerator downtown. Dressed in a gray blazer, he stood on stage talking about creative disruption, smiling like he hadn't just ripped the soul out of someone I cared about. I walked in mid-presentation, live stream rolling. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, voice slicing through the auditorium, "let me introduce you to the man who built his entire portfolio by robbing a college student." He froze, his smile twitched. The audience turned, he stammered, "Sir, this is not the time." "Oh, but it is," I said, raising my phone. "Because this is the guy who convinced a student to send him her designs, then ghosted her and used them to pitch to investors under a fake name. I've got timestamps, screenshots, and a PDF that was literally pulled from her laptop." He reached for the mic. I grabbed it first. "You talk about innovation?" I asked. "Here's an idea. Let's innovate justice. Let's make exploitation go viral." It did. Within an hour, every account associated with him was tagged. The system buzzed like a winning slot machine, but I ignored it. This wasn't about hate farming. This was personal. 2 days later, he went dark. Sponsors dropped him, his site disappeared. And Linda? Linda hugged me with her whole body. Not the side hug people give out of politeness, the kind where someone presses their forehead into your chest because their words are stuck in gratitude. "I was going to give up," she whispered. "I was ready to sell my machine and start waitressing full-time." "You're not built for that," I said. "You're built to lead." She pulled away, confused. "What do you mean?" I didn't answer. Instead, I logged in and withdrew every single yuan the system had ever paid me. Every toxic roast, every savage punchline, every trending hashtag built on venom. It totaled a little over 4.2 million. I bought every right to her designs, every platform she needed, every prototype cost, every lease and license. Then I handed it all to her. "Joseph," she said, breathless. "What is this?" "Your future," I said. "I can't take this." "You already did," I said. "I'm not investing in you, I'm surrendering, because you're the one person I can't destroy. She stared at me like she didn't know whether to slap me or kiss me. I kind of hoped for both. And just when I thought life might finally realign, the system spoke. But this time, not through Stephan's phone. Through mine. System host detected, Joseph. Previous host, Stephan, unbound. New objective, backstab Stephan. Each time Stephan is emotionally damaged by the host receives monetary gain. My hand shook. I looked over at Stephan sitting on the couch, eating chips, completely unaware. No, I whispered. Primary target has been assigned. Proceed. No, I said louder. Stephan turned to me. You good? I didn't answer. The screen flickered. Would you like to receive a preview of your potential earnings? Before I could even refuse, the numbers rolled in. Every childhood memory, every vulnerable moment, every opportunity to betray. A joke at Stephan's expense during a roast, 30,000, publicly crediting myself for all his success, 80,000, revealing he was the original host of the Backstab Protocol, 250,000, ruining his reputation, 1.2 million, all this, for a few words. My mouth went dry. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had built an empire out of being hated, and now, to keep earning, I had to start punching in the opposite direction. At the only person who had never once doubted me. And the worst part? I knew exactly what to say to destroy him. I stared at Stephan for a long time. He was laughing at something on his phone, maybe watching one of our old roast sessions. He looked happy, like none of this had touched him yet, like the storm we built hadn't reached his roof. The system whispered again. Initiate, Backstab, Protocol. I stood up. Hey, I said. He looked up, smiling. What's up? I walked over and sat beside him, forcing myself to breathe evenly. The words were loaded in my throat like bullets. If I fired them, the system would pay out. Stephan wouldn't even know what hit him. I opened my mouth and closed it. Joseph? He asked, tilting his head. I turned my phone around and showed him the screen. He blinked, reading each line. His smile faded. Slowly. It jumped hosts? Yeah. And it picked you? I nodded. He exhaled, rubbing his forehead. Damn, that explains the silence in my head. So, what now? I shrugged. It wants me to turn on you. A pause. Are you gonna? He asked. The air between us grew still. I looked at him, really looked. The kid who used to give me half his breakfast, the guy who once covered for me in class so I wouldn't get detention, the only person who saw me fall apart and didn't run. No, I said, not for $1 billion. He smiled, small, shaky. But the system wasn't done. Refusal detected, initiating manipulation phase. Suddenly, a video appeared, a clip from 3 months ago. Stephan, in his room, talking to the camera. Sometimes I think Joseph's just a tool, a perfect tool, sharp, smart, but still a tool. As long as I keep him hated, I keep getting paid. The words stabbed me. I felt my stomach clench. That's fake, Stephan said immediately. That's deep fake shit, I never said that. The system spoke again. Verifiable metadata, original timestamp confirmed, host statement authentic. I couldn't breathe. He stood up. Joseph, I swear, whatever I said, it was probably a joke. I was under pressure. You called me a tool, I said quietly. I didn't mean it. Did you believe it? He hesitated. That was enough. The system lit up. Emotional damage registered. Transfer complete, 350,000. I staggered back. No, I said. I didn't agree to that. Automatic payout. Words are actions. You broke him, that's the rule. Stephan looked at me, pale. You said you wouldn't. I didn't try to. But you did. He stormed out. And just like that, my greatest ally became my newest victim. The system purred like a satisfied animal. See, wealth is easier when you stop pretending to be noble. But that night, lying in the dark, I couldn't even touch the money. I transferred the full amount into Step. Han's account. He sent it back, over and over. So I withdrew it in cash and left it in an envelope outside his door. He never touched it. I hadn't just cracked the friendship, I'd shattered it. Linda noticed the shift. "You two aren't talking," she said. "It's complicated." "It's not," she replied. "You hurt him. Whether you meant to or not." I rubbed my face. "So what now? Apologize? Break the system's hold with an emotional TED talk?" She looked at me, really looked. "No," she said. "Just tell him the truth, and accept if he doesn't forgive you." I nodded slowly. Then I took out my phone and opened the livestream app again. The title? "The roast is over." I went live. No punchlines, no crowd, no filters, just me. "Tonight," I said, "I'm ending the stream. No more roasts, no more callouts, no more villain masks." I paused. I made money off people's pain, off hypocrisy, yes, but also off real people. People I cared about, people who didn't deserve to become characters in my highlight reel. I took a breath. I was chosen by something that rewards destruction, and I let it take more than it had the right to, including my best friend. I looked directly at the lens. "Stephan, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, not in the way influencers say it, not for PR, but because I forgot who I was before the claps." Linda appeared behind the camera, quietly holding up a thumbs up. The comments were slow, thoughtful, for once, not a barrage of noise. "Respect. About time. Damn, this hit." I closed the app. Then I closed the account. Then I closed the system. It protested. "Final warning, deactivating now will result in total loss of earnings, follower data, and public standing." I typed 2 words. "Do it." Silence. And then, for the first time in months, peace. The system disappeared. The phone was just a phone again. A week later, Stephan knocked on my door. He didn't speak. I didn't either. We just stared. Then he said, "You suck at apologies." I said I was sorry on livestream. "You did?" He nodded. "But you still suck." I smiled. "Yeah." He threw an arm around me. "Let's go," he said. "Linda's brand is blowing up, she's throwing a launch party, and she said if you're not there, she'll roast you." I laughed. "Deal." As we walked off, my phone buzzed again. Just a text this time, from Linda. "You chose right, that's all that matters." The system was gone, but its influence remained. Like phantom limbs, we still felt itching under our skin. The money had stopped flowing, but the attention hadn't. People still expected content, still craved the chaos. And in a twisted way, we'd built a machine bigger than ourselves. So we did the only thing 2 broke geniuses with reputations to burn could do. We faked it. "Okay," Stephan said, pacing our tiny apartment, now downgraded to a 1-bedroom shared disaster. "If the system paid us when people believed we hated each other, what if we just keep pretending?" I raised an eyebrow. "Like fake fights? WWE-style betrayal arcs?" He grinned. "Exactly." Thus began the next chapter. We turned our live streams into soap operas. Fake betrayal, scripted drama, carefully curated accidental leaks. We staged everything, from jealousy rants to argument clips caught on secret audio. One week, I pretended to steal his girlfriend. The next, he exposed a fake group chat of me trashing him. Our follower count doubled. People who had cancelled us came back, hooked again by the drama. They didn't care if it was real, they just wanted blood. We gave them all they could handle. Behind the scenes, we were splitting profits down the middle, full transparency. This time, no betrayal, just 2 guys laughing into their mics, cashing checks on public stupidity. The best part? We didn't need the system anymore. We were the system now. And while all that was unfolding online, something else was growing in the real world. Linda's fashion label, Verdant Arc, launched with thunder. Funded quietly with the last of my pre-system cash, backed strategically through connections Stephan made during the peak of our hate storm, Verdant Arc became a cult favorite within 6 months. Linda never bragged, never posted thirst trap victories. She let the design speak. Flowing fabrics, earthy tones, minimalist. Strength. Her clothes were everything she was, subtle, intelligent, grounded. And I stayed far away from the spotlight. She didn't know I'd made calls to secure her supplier deals. Didn't know the website developer she hired had been paid in full by me 2 weeks before her meeting. Didn't know I sat quietly at every investor call under a dummy name just to make sure no one pulled another Martin Chen on her again. Because sometimes you support someone best by staying invisible. But fate has a sense of humor. Because one day, Leah came knocking, literally. It started with a message Linda forwarded me. "Hi, I'm Leah from Northridge University, just graduated, absolutely love your brand and would be honored to intern. I'm all about female empowerment and storytelling through fashion." I nearly choked on my coffee. "She has no idea," Linda wrote under the screenshot. "Should I say yes?" I stared at the message for a long time and then typed, "Absolutely, let her in." A month later, Leah showed up at the Verdant Arc HQ, shoulders straight, phone in hand, ready to vlog the start of her feminist career arc. Sophia came with her, because of course she did. They wore knockoff blazers and heels too tall for a production space. Their presence was like glitter in a mechanic shop, loud, misplaced, and messy. I was sitting in the glass-walled executive office when they arrived. Leah's voice echoed through the hall as she greeted the front desk staff with, "Hi, we're here for the brand tour. I think someone named Linda scheduled it?" Linda greeted them politely. She didn't say a word about me, just handed them ID badges and led them through the workspace, showing off the design racks, the mood boards, the sewing rooms. At one point, Leah leaned in and whispered, "Wow, you guys must get so much funding, from men, right?" Linda just smiled. Let's just say the brand had some silent supporters. That afternoon, I decided to take a walk through the workspace. Not to flex, not to scare them, just to see. I stepped into the design wing, clipboard in hand, blending in like I always did. I wasn't wearing anything flashy, just black slacks, a fitted shirt, and the same calm expression I used during lectures. Leah was too busy posing for Instagram stories to notice. Sophia did. She nudged her. Leah turned slowly. And when she saw me, her entire body stiffened. "Joseph?" she said, disbelief dripping from her voice. I smiled politely. "Oh, hello. What are you doing here?" she asked. "You work here?" Before I could respond, Sophia snorted. "Makes sense. You probably begged for a job after getting cancelled so hard. Intern track, huh?" I tilted my head. "Something like that." Leah smirked. "Guess karma's real after all." At that moment, Linda walked over. "Everything okay?" Leah turned to her. "Yeah, just ran into an old classmate, didn't know you were hiring people like him." Linda raised an eyebrow. "People like who?" "You know," Sophia cut in, "washed-up livestream clowns." Linda looked at me. I said nothing. She smiled. "Right, that reminds me, the production team wanted to meet the newest intern applicants." She waved over a junior staffer. "Can you escort them to the 5th floor conference room? The shareholders will be joining shortly." Sophia straightened her skirt. Leah adjusted her neckline. They were ready to perform. I followed a few minutes later and stepped through the side door of the conference room just as the HR secretary stood to begin introductions. She cleared her throat. "Please welcome Mr. Joseph, Verdant Arc's primary shareholder." Silence. Leah's lips parted. Sophia blinked so hard, I thought she might dislocate her eyelid. I walked calmly to the head of the table, set down my clipboard, and smiled. "You may start your performance." Leah couldn't speak. Sophia tried. "You're joking, right?" I leaned back in my chair. "You applied for an internship. At a company I funded. In a building I bought. Through a brand you once said was just another boring earth tone scam. Should I keep going?" They were frozen. Behind the one-way glass, Linda watched, arms crossed, eyes calm. Revenge didn't have to be loud, it could be quiet, measured. I stood. "Thank you for coming," I said. "We'll let you know if you're selected." I walked out. The secretary escorted them in silence. Linda met me in the hallway. She didn't say a word, just smiled. Because sometimes the best closure is letting them feel how small the stage really is when no one's clapping. Later that evening, Linda and I sat on the rooftop of the building. No cameras, no microphones, no audience, just the soft hum of the city and a thermos of tea she'd brought up. "You didn't have to do that," she said, watching the skyline. "I know." She didn't look at me. "But I'm glad you did." I smiled faintly. "They'll still spin the story. I'm sure by tomorrow there'll be a new TikTok saying I forged the shareholder records or stole your company." "That's okay," she said, eyes steady. "You built the fire, I just sewed it into fabric." She always had a way with words. I thought of the system, the choices, the money, the algorithm that had once turned heartbreak into income, and I thought about the twist, how Stephan and I had faked our way into relevance just to survive the crash. "Stephan called," I said. Linda raised an eyebrow. "Yeah? He got offered a sponsorship, wants me to do one final betrayal livestream, the biggest one, fake lawsuits, emotional fallout, millions on the table." She looked at me. "What did you say?" I told him I'd only do it if we split it with you. She laughed softly. "I don't need the money. It's not about need." Silence stretched between us. Then she asked the one question I had been avoiding for months. "When are you going to stop performing?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" "This," she said, gesturing vaguely toward me. "All of this, the fake villains, the masked revenge, the strategic silence, when do you stop playing the part?" I wanted to answer quickly, say something clever, something smooth, but I didn't, because I didn't know. When you wear the mask long enough, it starts to mold to your skin, and even when you peel it off, the impression stays. "I'm trying," I said quietly. She nodded. "Good." There was a long pause, then she leaned her head on my shoulder. No confessions, no declarations, just stillness. Later that week, Leah and Sophia posted a video, some shaky footage, awkwardly edited, captioned, "The day we were tricked into working for our ex's brand." It flopped, people were tired of the villain arc, they were ready for something else, and Stephan and I delivered. We ended our series with one last twist, a livestream titled, "Why I Betrayed Him, and Why He Let Me." A confession, a reconciliation, a handshake turned into a brotherhood. We cried on camera, real tears this time. It was the first unscripted video we'd done in months. And people loved it. Because after all the chaos, all the pettiness, and all the betrayals, people still wanted to believe in something real. Verdant Arc expanded to 3 cities. Linda never took a cent from the system, never built her brand on hate. But every time she stood in front of a mirror, wearing her own clothes, head held high, she was proof that revenge didn't need to be loud to echo forever. And me? I stepped away from the drama. Bit by bit. I stopped chasing the algorithm and started chasing peace. Some nights, I'd find Linda sketching on her balcony. She'd look up, eyes soft, and ask, "You good?" And I'd say, "Yeah." Because sometimes, the best ending isn't explosive. It's quiet, it's healed. It's the girl who saw through your lies, the friend who faked a fight just to help you win, the company you built without stealing anyone's name. It's looking your past dead in the eye and saying, "I forgive you, but I remember everything." And that's the final performance, curtains closed, applause optional.